I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you're listening to Hard Knock Life.
Well, it's the NOC in full color. You see me? The Hard Knock Life. Comics, movies, and TV.
So, hi. Welcome to Hard Knock Life, which is part of the Nerds of Color's armada of podcasts and pop culture analysis. I'm Dominic Ma.
I'm Britney Monet.
And we have a guest today. Swara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, y'all. I'm Swara. I've been on the podcast before. Dom, Brittany, thank you so much for welcoming me on again. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you. I'll also make a note that at some point in this episode, we'll have a segment in which one of our newest nerds of color, Lyra, did an interview with a Bridgerton actor, Simone Ashley. Now, I don't watch Bridgerton.
I watch
Oh
Bridgerton.
my
A
God.
zillion people do.
Let me just say, Simone
Please do.
Ashley slayed this season. I loved her on Sex Education. And then to actually see her play like a character where she gets to really show off her acting chops, just beautiful. Loved it. Loved everything about her story. I'm so glad she's returning for season 3. So yeah, that's very exciting.
Co-sign everything Brittany said. Simone Ashley is an absolute star, as is Charitha, I believe that's her name, who plays her sister. And love seeing dark-skinned Daisies in these starring roles. It's amazing. And listen, is Bridgerton perfect? No. Are there maybe problematic aspects of like glorifying the Regency age and the colonialist age? Yes, absolutely. We can have those conversations, but it's so great to see people of color in these roles that we've so often been denied. And I'm just like really happy for them. And I think like, it's just such great visibility, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like there's some people though who kind of get on my nerves with them wanting to have racism be a part of the storylines, where I'm like, you know what, why can't we just actually have stories of people of color in the past where it's, you know, their biggest worry is if this guy is going to propose to them or not, and not, you know, oh, everyone hates me because I'm dark skinned, or, you know, like it's nice just to have a fantasy, and that, especially in that era, because some of those dresses are just beautiful. And, you know, just to see different women of color, like it's very nice. And, you know, I hope some, you know, Latina and Native American. I don't know how you would bring on a Native American. You can bring on a Native American. I don't know.
It's a fantasy. You can bring on anyone. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I just want to see everyone get their shine on representation on the show, because it's really nice. Everyone wants to experience their own like love story. And please stop making Penelope unwanted. Like it's just, I'm tired of the trope. That's all I gotta say.
Absolutely. For sure.
Great. Well, I'm glad to know all that. And yes, we will hear Simone Ashley's voice in a later segment of this episode. But right now, we're going to talk about Moon Knight, the latest episode 2. That's part of why Swara is here. Because Swara, so you've seen the first 4 episodes of
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've reviewed the first 4 episodes for the Nerds of Color website. So on our podcast, The Middle Geeks, which is part of the Hard Knock Life podcast network, May and I are reviewing each set of 2 episodes. She's also seen the first 4 episodes. I have to say, it's been very surreal having watched like most of the series already that's coming out weekly, and an MCU series at that. I feel incredibly privileged to have done that, but it also almost feels like disorienting. Like, wow, y'all aren't caught up yet. And it also makes me realize, like, I really love the 4 out of the 6 episodes without spoiling anything. I gave it an A- in my review. And I realized, like, you know, I think that because Marvel and Disney with Moon Knight, this is such an unknown property, a relatively unknown character for general audiences. So they really want us reviewers to be able to hype up the show. And I honestly think they were like really successful at that, because I ended up loving it. I mean, I have a few minor critiques, but yeah, I guess
I think they were right. Because if I can just break in for a second.
Sure,
anecdotally, a lot of people don't know who Moon Knight is. People who I consider, you know, moderately Marvel Comics literate have just been going, who's Moon Knight? I've never that guy. And, you know, I don't know. I think it's sort of a Gen X thing. Like he's in that Gen X era of being born, so to speak, in the, you know, 70s or something like that. So it is kind of interesting for that. I personally sort of knew about Moon Knight and liked him pretty much. So we'll try to discuss, I guess, this first 2 episodes sort of as the first act of this 3-act series, presumably. For me, I found episode 2 a little heavy on exposition, and also there were a bunch of cool reveals. And of course, exposition is sort of a necessary evil in most shows, and the reveals themselves are kind of a ritual within the Marvel shows at this point. So I was going to ask Brittany how you felt about the things that were revealed in this episode.
I didn't have an issue with anything. I feel like that person is always like, yeah, everything's great. But no, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I checked out the movie that Justin and Aaron, the directors of episode 2, did. So I don't know. I feel like they are the perfect kind of pair of people to like work on this show.
Right.
I don't know.
You mentioned that last time, yeah.
Yeah, I really loved a lot of the stuff that we got with Steven with the V, between him and Mark, those conversations. I really liked it. I don't know if it was missing anything for me. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I really liked it so far. It's Oscar Isaac and being hot and funny and like badass. All
It's
in
a
one.
lot of
Like,
Oscar Isaac, like a
it's,
double
you know,
dose of him.
Brittany, I need to ask what your
Absolutely.
thoughts were on Mr. Knight when he changed into the suit.
It was really funny because I was like, oh, suit, he has a suit. Felt a little Deadpool-esque. I don't know if they were trying to like be like, let's see if they like Deadpool and like, you know, type of character in this more like a PG.
You mean the way the costume looked or the way he got into it?
The way he was like,
Mm.
because it's Steven, so he's a little bit more of like a, I don't know what's the right word without
Bit of
sounding
a goofball.
yeah, he's like a goofball, and I feel like, you know, you got the goofy guy and like hidden under a mask, so I felt like it felt the same almost in a way. Like they were both it was funny, but
Oh, I see. Yeah.
then when he switched to Mark, it was like he took off and he was like, ooh. I don't know, it was so funny.
Yeah. And Mark's dead serious. And yeah, Mr. Knight with Steven inside of the suit has a goofy sort of energy. And that was nice to see. Although I still don't know enough to know what the Mr. Knight costume is about. Do we all know?
I saw online that apparently, so I haven't read the comics, but I know that apparently the Mr. Knight costume is supposed to be a very suave, very rich persona, essentially, of the Moon Knight costume. Apparently, like some people online were upset that like it was like more of a goofball guy who's someone who's trying to be simply prim and proper as opposed to the like badassery of the regular suit. I think that for what they did with this, it really worked. I think that I love the dichotomy of the two different suits for the two different personalities. Yeah, so but there is that like key difference from the comics, because like Mr. Knight is like someone that comic readers like know really well and love, and I definitely feel for them for that particular loss. Who knows, they may like dive more into that later on in the series, or if there's a season 2.
Yeah, sure. So what did y'all think about the new characters that were introduced, notably Layla?
I love Layla Al-Foli so much. May Kalamawi, our Egyptian Palestinian icon. She is amazing. I loved her ever since she was on Rami, and when she was cast in Moon Knight, I was so excited. And I'll just like let you know without spoiling, she's my favorite character from the series, and what she's able to do with this role and what the writers have made for her and what head director Mohammed Diab, who's also Egyptian, like has made for her is just like, it's so all throughout it, watching it, I'm just like so happy that we have this sort of lead character in the MCU. We finally have this sort of SWANA, or North African in this case, like representation, Egyptian representation, Palestinian representation, like, you know, with May's background. And it's just like, we need way more, obviously, because us SWANA people, we're not a monolith. We need way more. You know, for example, I'm Kurdish. I don't have like, I'm not Egyptian, I'm not Palestinian, but like still like knowing that she's from like my region of origin, it's just like, it's so meaningful. And there's such a great dynamism to her character. And again, without spoiling, there's like more depth that goes into with her that makes her like a real standout. And I'm like so appreciative that she has all of this like material to work with. And I just like hope we get so much more of her outside of Moon Knight or in a Moon Knight season 2, because she is just like such a great character.
I really liked her a lot. I loved how she was, you know, really quick to be like, hey, Mark, if you just don't want me anymore, just like be up with it. I don't need you acting like a British person and all this stuff, which makes me wonder how much of like, he obviously hasn't let her in about like his struggles with mental illness, but I don't know, I really liked her, and she's obviously clearly badass too, especially because she's apparently the next in line to have the suit if Mark is to no longer be Moon Knight. So I don't know, I feel like I want to see more of her. I agree, I feel like she should get other roles too. She was just really, everyone I feel like was really fun in this episode. Especially like Ethan Hawke. Oh, I'm still mad he's not Doctor Strange, but like if like that was my white guy choice for Doctor Strange was Ethan Hawke. So
well, there's a multiverse, so like never rule anything out. But yeah, and it's
can I just say something that actually disappointed me with the villain? So don't get me wrong, Ethan Hawke is great. He's like really compelling. He is like chewing all the scenery. What I don't like is him being a previous avatar of Khonshu. I feel like, and I hope I'm wrong, I still haven't seen the last 2 episodes, but we've all really loved this series for how much it stood out from the rest of the MCU. But here, I think it's actually falling into an MCU trap or pitfall again of like the villain being like a strict parallel with the hero. And I was just like, when I saw that, I was like, really? We're doing this again?
Oh yeah, like the last Ironmonger or the last Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a bit pat. I get it. And also, did he have a weird white suit to put on? And I don't know, but
maybe he will. We'll see.
Right. And I don't really understand how the politics of the Egyptian gods work in this case. Did he like move over to Team Amit?
Okay, and let me just say one other thing. As like I grew up obsessed with Egyptology and the Egyptian gods and everything.
Yeah.
Amit is like the most basic choice of a villain of a god or goddess. Like Amit is literally just like the hippo that like eats the heart that weighs negatively against the feather of Ma'at on whether or not you'll get into heaven, basically in the Egyptian underworld. It's like there's like little to no background for Amit. I'm just like, why couldn't it be Seth? Why couldn't it be like, I don't know, some other Egyptian deity that you think is good, but may actually be duplicitous or something like that? It's just like, there's so many others to choose from. And I'm just like, Amit, really? I mean, again, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, so I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I'm just like, I know. I should like be patient for the end, but that's just like me being like an Egyptology snob right there.
Oh, okay, no, but that's cool, and like it brings up an important point. We should remember that just on pure iconography, the Egyptian gods are really cool. For me, they're cooler than the Asgardian gods, which, to be fair, they're kind of bros. I'd say the Egyptian god sets, in their depictions, they have these elemental powers. They are sort of fused with animals, and they just look great in a comic book. But I actually wasn't familiar with Amit before, and don't know where she stands in the whole thing. I was sort of knew about Set and Horus and all that.
Yeah, I don't know much about Egyptian gods as I should, because I would totally watch lots of different Egypt special stuff with my dad, but yeah, I don't know. I'm dropping the ball on that one, so I'll have to just 100% take Swara's word for it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Well, I have too. But can we talk about how Khonshu looks then? What's his head? Okay, I'll just say it. Like
a falcon. Khonshu is like a falcon, okay. Like Horus. Although, like, it is interesting because there are 2 Egyptian moon gods. There's Thoth and Khonshu. Khonshu is the son of Amun, the king of the gods, Amun and Mut, whereas Thoth is like one of the primordial deities who serves as the vizier to Ra, who is also king of the gods, that before Amun and Ra were fused as Amun-Ra. But anyway, Thoth is an ibis. So an ibis is like sort of a crane-like creature with a really long beak. So it's almost as though like with Khonshu, they almost like fuse both a falcon and a like ibis there. And we're like, okay, maybe that's, some people thought he was Thoth, some people thought he was Khonshu, and like it's also interestingly enough, Thoth is the Egyptian god of wisdom, but yeah, I think like with Khonshu, they're just like going for someone who's just like really ragged, who is like who's been ostracized from the other gods. There isn't really much in his mythology to have that, but that's sort of like what they're going off in the comics. I think what they've done with Khonshu is like really good. And F. Murray Abraham, who by the way is of Syrian descent, so we have like an Arab playing Khonshu, which is really great. He does
the F always stood for Farid. He took his dad's name
for Farhid.
Okay, Farid. Okay. Which I didn't really know, but okay.
Yeah, he has such a powerful performance as Khonshu, and just like you can tell like he's wicked. You can tell like, there's a wicked element to him, but that he also sincerely cares. And it's just like it comes together so well in the voice performance. And I just find myself enthralled whenever Khonshu speaks.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying his performance as well. But then I started to think, what's that quality? It was a bit of Gandalf, and then I couldn't unhear that part of it. But that's just my fault. It's more
definitely some Gandalf in there. I hear that.
just a slight snarkiness and the wise old man-ness. It's something that distinguishes it from being just a pure omnipotent god figure, which we've seen before. And so that's great. Other thoughts on this episode before I start complaining about the little Mandarin part?
I don't know. I enjoyed everything. I like that for the Egypt, when they're actually in Egypt, they don't use that like funky
Orientalist chanting. Yeah.
Or not just that, but like, how they do like that certain tint with the coloring.
The yellow filter. Yeah.
Yes.
There's no yellow filter. There's no yellow filter in this series set in the Middle East. It's awesome. This is something I've never seen so far. Yes, but I've seen the first 4 episodes, and I can attest there is no yellow filter, at least from what I could tell, and I'm just like so happy about it.
Yeah,
no more yellow filters. Ban on yellow filters.
Yeah, like it's nice. Like most people should know Egypt is hot. You don't need to do the like funky yellow filter. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was the only other thing I can really think of, because I thought everything else was great. Like how they made a joke about him eating steak because he's supposed to be vegan.
Right.
Yeah, I love when he's talking to his goldfish. It's like very quick little moments. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't have anything else. I don't have any critiques, but you can go on with your critiques, I guess.
I mean, I'll just say, like, before that, I just love Oscar's performance. Like, he is clearly having the time of his life, playing these essentially multiple roles, someone who is at war with himself. And you can tell like this really is a passion project for Oscar Isaac. He's an executive producer. What is also like really keen is like he is not I think y'all said this in the last episode, like he's not signed on for any next MCU projects, only Moon Knight. And so he's like, they're very keen on like this being like a standalone project, at least so far. And I think that's fantastic. I think like just investing in the characters, because like honestly, y'all, I'm just like, I enjoy most of the MCU, but I'm just starting to feel burdened. I'm starting to feel tired as a generally passionate fan by the overconnectivity of the MCU. And I'm just like, there's so much to follow. There's so much to like keep up with. And I can only imagine how general audiences are feeling. But with Moon Knight, it's like, nope, we're just focusing on this. No multiverse or like universe ending shenanigans, no snap, no like we're not even going to even talk about it, and that's great. I don't need that anymore. So I'm really enjoying this series. I've really enjoyed
it's not even in America where
not even in the US. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I just really hope the finale wraps it all up well. So we will see in a few weeks when we get there.
So the Ethan Hawke's cult villain bad guys crew I find very interesting. There was one part that was really annoying in this episode when they're like walking through the alley and Ethan tries to speak some Mandarin to one of the cult members. Is it okay if we just call them cult members? I don't.
They're cult members. Yeah.
And that was like, it's really janky. And I say this as someone who speaks janky Mandarin. My Mandarin is pretty bad, but I do have sensitivity to when the effort to speak language is passable and when it's below passable, and that was pretty off. And again, we never want to disparage anyone from like trying to incorporate languages or trying to.
You should absolutely critique it. You should
learn new languages, but like But like sometimes you can just tell that they didn't put that much effort into it. And then he adds like the afterthought. He's like, "Are you speaking Chinese?" It's like, "Oh no, Mandarin." Like, just like this, hipster, like super knowledgeable thing. Sorry, I didn't complain about that very articulately. But the point is that part went kind of wrong because it was just very ornamental and like completely unnecessary is the thing. So it's like that thing where you're trying to show off that you speak this other language, but you don't really, and also it has no actual point except to have some like just a random mention of like Chinese sauce in there. That threw me off a little bit. But then again, and I can't speak to how they do or don't speak other languages in the series.
I mean,
so
like,
I'm sure you've had this come up with like times when the people speak a little bit of languages from the Middle Eastern region, or when they just throw it in there. There are good ones and bad ones.
Right, there are good ones and bad ones. I will say, from the very little bit of the primary like language I speak from the region is Kurdish, but like I do know a little bit of Arabic, and like the Arabic I've heard in there, it's like it passes. I think it's like good, especially with the Egyptian creators involved. But no, I totally feel you on like that scene when like Arthur Harrow was like, "Oh yeah, we aim to speak as many languages as we can a day," and it's like you're not speaking them very well. Like I couldn't tell that was like, I've heard like a lot of Mandarin even though I don't speak it, and just I couldn't tell that was Mandarin. It was like I actually thought that might have been Arabic from the way he was saying it, and it just like it was weird for sure.
Yeah, that was really wonky and just unnecessary. So I don't know exactly what they were going for there, but that's okay.
Trying to show off that we're learning things in our cults,
right?
It's not just worshiping this god. Come join us, and like, oh look, and we got some fresh made lentil soup. Carlos made it, and I think that was the guy's name. I'm sorry if it wasn't Carlos. And he's like, he's from the Yucatan, and then I think he starts speaking like Spanish. I don't know.
We do get that the cult thinks it's better at everything.
Yeah,
and that's on brand with what their deal is.
Yeah, it was just to show like, hey, like, we're pretty cool and accepting of everyone, so you don't need to worry. Like, you don't need to worry, you can be here, it's fine. Like, that's what it was, like the vibe they were trying to give. But yeah, they probably could have done a little bit better on that, I guess.
But yes, overall they are very creepy.
Mm-hmm. Any cult is creepy.
Yeah, so that's good. I thought maybe also, Swara, since here we could talk about thoughts about the Miss Marvel trailer and new TV spot that came out, because it's interesting, like sort of as the next two Disney Plus series are Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, which both in their ways have some.
You said Marvel, right? Because the next one is also Kenobi.
I meant the Disney.
Marvel.
Yes, I meant the Marvel wing.
Okay, I was like, the next one is Kenobi.
I didn't mean to overlook the Star Wars wing of.
Okay,
of the Disney pantheon.
Okay,
sorry, in the Marvel section of the Disney universe, we have these two shows, which both in their way have some Middle Eastern, North African content in very different ways.
Right, and it's important to remember that Miss Marvel is South Asian, and like Pakistan, is South Asia. There are like cultural elements in common, that I absolutely have in common with Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. That is one of my favorite characters. So yeah, there's definitely like still like elements that SWANA people are like very excited about. By the way, that's a term we're trying to use more in place of Middle East, SWANA, which is Southwest Asian and North African instead of MENA, Middle East, North African. We do still use them interchangeably because like a lot of people still say MENA. It's still in the lexicon, but just an FYI.
Yeah, sorry, I did flood that a little bit because I was trying to get South Asian in full inclusive term, but
totally
the terms are
SWANA.
Yeah, SWANA. Or you could say SWANASA, which includes South Asia.
SWANASA.
So yeah, exactly. We're doing so. You see, we're doing way better learning here than they did on Moon Knight. So
yeah, right on. And that's what we're here to do. But I was gonna because we had the powers debate the other day, and I know you're also participate in this debate, so this is where we get really nerdy. And I just noticed in the TV spot, I think they're deliberately teasing us with the powers debate, because in the TV spot for Miss Marvel, goes, I don't know exactly what it says. She's the whole fate of the world or the fate of the future or the fate of the universe is in her hands. Her hands, which the beginning of the hands is her signature move.
Yeah.
But of course, at the end, she's looking at her own glowy self and goes cosmic, which is exactly the opposite part of the debate. So if we could take a few minutes to get your opinions on the polymorphic versus sparkly powers debate.
So I actually knew about the power change months before the trailer came out, and I was in disbelief about it. I thought, no, there's no way they would do this to Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, an iconic polymorph. Like, I literally thought that essentially, as like people online were saying, the Purple Lantern powers, I assumed they were false. I was like, there's no way this could happen. But then set photos came out and showing like the purple constructs and lights. And I think like I also, and the reaction online was like, what is this? This is not Miss Marvel's powers. And then eventually the trailer came out, and I was honestly very sad. I'm still very sad about it because, listen, I'm still going to watch the show. I hope that I love it. I'm very excited for the representation in terms of Kamala Khan and her brother, who are both played by Pakistani Muslims. Although, like, I wish the parents were cast correctly, because the parents are both Indian, and I know for certain the mother actress, Zenobia Shroff, is not Muslim. She's Zoroastrian. And also, I think we also need to call a spade like that. The casting for Muniba Khan is quite colorist as well. Like, she's clearly browner in the comics and other media. There may be some other colorism going on as well. Oh, and also, I wish that they had cast a Muslim hijabi Turkish actress to play Nakia. Instead, they have Yasmin Fletcher, who is Lebanese and Christian. I'm conflicted there because I want to be supportive of Yasmin and of SWANA actresses, but also I'm like, we're not interchangeable. So that is unfortunate. But sorry, I'm going on.
Not interchangeable, but you are aware of their backgrounds in the comics as written, and this is useful because I'm not aware in that level of detail.
Yeah, thank you. So, but on the powers thing, I'll see how they do it on the show. That's
I don't think they cancel each other out. That's the thing. I think people are thinking it's either or. And I really think like she's going to warm up with the cosmic powers, and in beginning is going to be like the big finale, like
that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping, and that's what I've heard, that maybe what she gets at first is sort of like she wants to be like Captain Marvel. That's how her journey goes, and she gets these sort of like light construct powers that sort of resemble Carol's.
Just in a light bulb in my head.
Yeah. Oh wait, go ahead, Brittany. What were you saying?
Let's see the light bulb.
We know in the comics that she actually morphs fully into Captain Marvel when she first kind of gets her powers. So I wonder if instead of, they kind of thought maybe it's a little problematic, she changes herself into a white girl, that they were like, let's
also would just throw everything way off.
No, but sorry, can I just say about that, like, that moment when she turns into a white woman and then realizes this is not what I want. This is like, I want to be myself, Kamala, a brown girl. Like, that is such a pivotal, incredible moment that like virtually all Miss Marvel fans like absolutely love, because it's like saying, I'm embracing who I am. I am not, I have perhaps what I want as a white woman now, but like, this is not what I want. I got to be myself. Sorry, but
it's a great moment in the comic. But continue, please.
I 100% agree. It's well in the comics, and I feel like maybe they're not going to be able to execute that as properly. So maybe that they're like, it might be problematic. Let's not even touch that. So that could be why. And I feel like instead of her changing into actual Carol Danvers, they're like, hey, let's give her where she can actually mimic maybe other people's powers until she realizes what powers actually are her own, if that makes sense, kind of, instead of
totally,
this is possible.
So she mimics
emulating
Princess Sparkle's fist,
Captain Marvel's sparkliness.
I could definitely see that. I think it's just like, I really hope that that isn't the case in the finale, and it could still like allow, you know, in further seasons or further like depictions of Miss Marvel in the MCU to, because her powers, her polymorph powers where she changes her body, they are like a literal symbolism of a teenagers, especially in this case of teenage girls, you know, changing their bodies and like having to endure those changes and the awkwardness of that. Like Miss Marvel's powers are like intentionally awkward, which is why we love her so much and she's so relatable. And it's ironic because I remember like G. Willow Wilson, her co-creator and first main writer, saying that like she didn't want Kamala to have these sparkly powers, that like she didn't want her to have like quote unquote aesthetic powers, and that's the reason for the embiggening and stuff like that. But I do hope, Brittany, you know, you're inspiring hope for me with like that theory of like, you know, what it will eventually be in the end. And you know, increasingly by the day I get more hope about the series, especially when I see like, for example, Iman Vellani, who by the way absolutely encaptures Kamala so well. I'm so excited to view her on the screen. And like, you know, for other like creators involved, especially like Saga Sheikh, who's playing her brother, like talking about the meaning of representation in the show. I think it's just like, it'll still be like a net positive. It'll still be like great. Hopefully, you know, whatever they do, I hope like just in these conversations, what we remember to do is to center South Asian and Muslim, and also I will say SWANA voices in conversations about Miss Marvel, because of how much she's meant to like us specifically as well. I mean, she's a universal character. She's absolutely for everyone, but like, yeah, it's like in terms of like how she's been marketed and how like she is like a character for our community specifically, it's been like very meaningful in that sort of way. But again, she's someone for everyone. It's like I'm trying to like be careful with my words here, but y'all know what I mean.
Yeah, right.
I know what you mean.
Cool. Well, on that note, we are going to go to the next segment, in which fellow nerd of color Lyra interviews Simone Ashley. Then we'll come back.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. My name's Lyra. I'm from Nerds of Color. Now that Bridgerton is out, and you've probably seen people's reactions, how does it feel like taking all that in and seeing people finally seeing themselves in someone through Kate?
I'm very grateful. I'm quite overwhelmed in the best way possible. I think it's a really exciting moment, and I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of a show with such wonderful people involved. I got to work with the most amazing cast and crew, really, and I don't just say that. They are the most wonderfully talented, warm people, and I'm so grateful for that experience. And I think that is what makes this show so successful and so brilliant to watch, because there's been a lot of heart that's been put into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm just incredibly grateful and excited, especially for the reception we've been receiving.
Mm-hmm. And I know that shows like this, or any show that you do, requires a lot of like introspection while you're doing it. What have you learned about yourself when it comes to love and opening yourself up to love, just like Kate did?
I think it takes a lot of bravery. I think it takes a sense of daring to be hopeful. And I think it comes from yourself. Love is very complicated, but at the end of the day, I always say the heart is like a house, and you can't expect someone to come in and clean it up for you. You've got to do the cleaning yourself to then invite people in. So yeah, it starts with you, and that's the hardest thing and the scariest thing. But when you do it and you're brave and you jump into it, it can be a very liberating feeling. And that's something that I'm still learning day to day.
Yeah, no, it's completely true. I wanted to ask, of course, about the relationship between Kate and Anthony. And in your opinion, what would you like to see for them in like upcoming seasons?
I think they both deserve to like kind of have a breather and enjoy being in love, and to play within that, and to enjoy each other, and to explore that sense of unity, I guess. And yeah, I guess we'll see what they get up to, if there'll be other obstacles that they might have to conquer along the way. Who knows?
The men of Bridgerton, they have been talking about Pall Mall, and how Luke, the one who plays Benedict, how he is the Thor of Pall Mall, and they've been talking about beating each other. But the question is, are you as good as Kate, and would you beat them?
I think one of the shots was me getting the ball through the hoop. So that's all that I could go off. I at least got a couple through the hoop, but no, Luke Thompson was the, all hail Luke when it came to Pall Mall. He broke several of his mallets on set because he was that strong. And I think B-roll footage, but he managed to get it through like one of the most hardest hoops, which is like an elevated hoop from the ground. So yeah, I was very impressed by Luke's Pall Mall skills.
So he is the Thor.
Also on the subject, he's an incredible actor and very, very wonderful human to work with and to be around. So yeah, well deserved Pall Mall.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really enjoyed your Kate, and I'm just so happy that it's being well received, and that I hope that you continue to receive love for this performance and anything that comes next.
Oh, thank you. Thank you a lot. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Guess what? Goalie Nutrition is sponsoring Hard Knock Life, and you can go to goalie.com to buy apple cider vinegar gummies, they're ashwagandha gummies, superfruit gummies, and super greens gummies, and you get 10% off plus free shipping if you use the code HARDKNOCK at goalie.com. This is honestly, I've been taking the goalie gummies now for a couple weeks, and I have to say, they're tasty and they're good for you. Have you guys been enjoying the goalie gummies?
I really like them. They're yummy, but it's a nice to add to my routine of already I normally take just straight vitamin C, so it's nice to have extra supplements.
For a long time, people have praised the benefits of apple cider vinegar, and as someone who's had to drink straight apple cider vinegar sometimes when I'm not feeling well, or I have some joint pain, and your mom is like, drink some apple cider vinegar. It's not the most appetizing home remedy, let's just say.
Right.
It tastes horrible.
So, the apple cider part is ooh, does it taste like apple cider? And it's no, it tastes like vinegar. But ACV is very good for you. And the fact that Goalie has been able to put the ACV into these tasty little gummies made with pectin and fruit peels, which make them vegan, which is cool. So if you're vegan, you can still rock these gummies, because everyone knows gummies are usually made out of gelatin and nasty shit. These are made out of complete non-GMO, gelatin-free, gluten-free, vegan ingredients, and you can get the benefits, all of the benefits of apple cider vinegar, taking these tasty, delicious, convenient gummies. So go to goalie.com and use the code HARDKNOCK, that's HARDNOC, just like the podcast you're listening to. Get 10% off your purchase of Goalie products and free shipping.
It's a much better delivery device for that apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
These Goalie gummies are great. You get it, and it's a delicious little candy. And I've been enjoying the Superfruits one. I did feel kind of refreshed after taking a few of those.
Yeah, no, but I'm loving them so far, and they're definitely tasty. If you just want tasty gummies, at least just eat them for the yumminess.
Yeah. So go to goalie.com, use the code HARDKNOCK, HARDNOC, get 10% off your purchase and free shipping at goalie.com with the code HARDKNOCK.
We should
talk about the Ezra Miller
in
stuff.
Your world.
Wait, sorry, that is a hot button thing. We should talk
or non-popping.
No, but we should talk about the Ezra Miller stuff. Absolutely, actually, that's very pertinent, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they're just locked in to as Flash, right? Or maybe he won't be Flash anymore.
No. Warner Brothers and DC executives met, and they're putting pause on old projects involving Ezra Miller. Yeah.
Which is funny because it's already been on pause for what seems like 5 years now.
No. The Flash movie will still come out, but any future projects with Ezra are now put on pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just very concerned with the people on set who kind of saw that they were going through these problems and probably needed some form of help, and yet didn't try to be hey, maybe we should halt production and get them some help. And they didn't do that. So now there's even worse situation where it's okay, they attacked these people and also threatened to kill these people. And then you have the previous situation where they choked a fan. So now it looks really terrible, especially if people are saying oh, well, they kind of had these outbursts. They weren't yelling or being physical with anyone, but there was definitely a meltdown going on. It's and you didn't think maybe you should halt production and get help. That's such a huge problem. And now there's talk about, well, let's have Grant Gustin replace Ezra. And I love Grant. And I would kind of be okay with it, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know. This is such a mess.
Do you love
It is
Grant?
indeed a
I mean,
mess.
also, I mean, for me, I like I've never been into Ezra Miller as Flash, and like Grant Gustin, I find like okay. If I have to choose between them, definitely Grant Gustin.
I feel like I would prefer maybe like Keenan or Jordan to actually take up the mantle, to
Wait,
be
which one?
honest. Keenan Lonsdale and Jordan Fisher.
Oh, okay.
I'm like
Cool.
very behind on the Flash, but like from other things I've
Mhm.
seen Jordan in, I know that he would be perfect. So
He's
feel
very
like-
good on the Flash.
I feel like picking up one of those two and making them the Flash will be a really good choice. But you know, I don't know. We'll see. It might end up being Grant since they technically already met on screen. So
You know, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird that they stuck with the problem child for so long, and also I just think fantasy casting for Flash is now kind of open again.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, DC is doing its own multiverse, so anything could happen. Yeah, Brittany, I echo you completely. I hope Ezra that they get the help they need. It's clear they're dealing with mental issues they need help for. As for like the Flash film, I still want to see it, to be quite honest, while acknowledging that Ezra has done these awful things, and like knowing that again that Warner Brothers and DC are like putting pause on like projects involving Ezra Miller. You know, it's just like a tragic situation all around, and like I really hope again they get the help they need. I hope that that people around them are safe. You know, that's the really key thing. And maybe I think they'll ultimately will do some sort of recasting with the Flash, Barry Allen in the DCEU. I think that, you know, with the Flash film, you know, it's not much of a spoiler to say that, you know, it's going to be doing some multiverse shenanigans and it will be changing some things up in the DCEU. So there could very easily just be another Flash, you know, tacked on at the end of the film being like, hey, I'm Barry Allen.
And it's being pushed
Seriously,
back
yeah.
again. So who knows? And apparently a lot of people think that Grant is trying to be well behaved right now on social media. So they could already be talking to him, and he literally could already be like the replacement going forward, because I'm pretty sure they're eventually going to end the Flash soon. Even though I know they're going on to season 9. I feel like it's coming soon. And since so many people already love the show and like him, I feel like they think it's a no-brainer, which to me, honestly, it's a smart choice. Because I feel like when you have a new actor playing the character, you kind of have to reintroduce them again, because every actor is different and what they bring to a role is different. So essentially it is going to be a different version or character. So I feel like you got to make them like this version. And that's why you build up to it, which is why some people had issues with, you know, Ben Affleck when he just shows up in Batman versus Superman, because it's like, okay, well, we didn't get to like this Batman. We don't really care for this Batman. What happens to him, you know? So I feel like it's going to be the same thing. They're going to have to pick someone that already has like a certain likability or trust with the audience. And it's Grant, obviously.
Yeah, he's been building that cred.
Keenan and Jordan are also great possible choices.
Yeah, even though I could definitely see a scenario where Grant does play him, I also think Grant may be tired after 9 years of playing the same character. And you know, it's like it's TV is still different from film. So to be honest, I think it'll be just someone entirely new who plays Barry Allen, or like whichever Flash they decide to go with. Maybe they won't go with Barry Allen at all. Maybe it'll be like Wally West as the main Flash again, or something like that. We'll just have to see what happens, you know? So yeah.
There are options there, but again, the moral is the DCEU is always completely fucked up. Or just find some ways.
Listen, they've been doing well recently, okay?
It's
the
so
Suicide Squad was
frustrating,
great.
We love it. We love
Squad, Peacemaker, they
Birds of Prey.
Yes, Birds of Prey. They had a most definite win with the Batman.
Yes.
Which I know some people are like, yeah, it's Batman. Everyone loves Batman, but you don't realize how many people hate Robert Pattinson because they only think of him as the Twilight dude. And I know you're like, oh, but people online kind of are aware, but you have to think about the whole world. Not everyone's on Twitter and as informed about like people's careers as like some of us are. So, you know, it was a huge gamble to put Robert Pattinson, the vampire who sparkles, as Batman. Like, people have to realize that movie was a gamble, especially so many people also being mad that it wasn't like going to be Ben Affleck or Christian Bale. So like, it was a gamble, and that movie did really well, obviously. I don't know. I hope they keep winning, because I hate because like I've said, there's great characters from both sides of the comic book world, at least from the big two. And the fact that it's really sad that the MCU is the only one that's like constantly having more hits than misses. And there are some stuff that obviously I know has missed for some people from MCU, but as a whole, let's be honest, MCU has hit most of it out of the park. So it's really sad when people are like, oh, DC is like just really not that great. I'm saying, no, they have great characters. They do. You just have to have the right teams and stuff behind it.
I meant fucked up with love. I mean, there's always some sort of structural chaos, and it's sort of fascinating.
No, but
watch.
I agree. Like, that's part of their problem. They have such like structural chaos that it correlates to some of the movies not hitting as well too.
Yeah.
Although it also like correlates with some of the movies hitting even harder than like the MCU might, because like for me, the Batman is like my favorite comic book live action comic book film ever. Like I love it so much.
Like in the last like few years, I would have to say that one is definitely it beat Black Panther for me. I'm sorry. It Black Panther did amazing things, but I don't know, the Batman just, and also because I'm a little bit more familiar with the Batman than I honestly am with like Black Panther comics. So like the Batman really hit hard for me. It was chef kiss.
Hit for a lot of people. It made over $700 million.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, well, before we wrap up, any closing thoughts or nerd poppings? Or sorry, I know you probably mentioned discussed some of this stuff on the Middle Geeks podcast also, right?
Yeah, we discussed all of this stuff on Middle Geeks podcast from a SWANA/MENA perspective that y'all should check out.
Cool. Well, in that case, I'll just go around and ask everyone how they can be found on the internet. Brittany, how can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Hi Brittany Monet, and you can also check out at Naomi Podcast for the Naomi Podcast, as well as the backlog of Black Lightning and Lituation Room, which there should be a new Lituation Room hopefully coming out soon, because we're also recording another one on Sunday. So yes.
And Swara.
Thank you, Dom and Brittany, so much for having me on. This has been a blast. Y'all can find me online on Twitter at Spider Swars. I'm on Instagram at Swarzy_8. I once again co-host the Middle Geeks podcast, where my co-host May and I discuss anything and everything from a SWANA/MENA angle and give our takes on it. And I'm also a co-host of Into the Spider Cast, where my co-host CJ and I have been discussing anything and everything across the Spider-Verse, across all media. Yes, I was about to say, Brittany has been on discussing Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew with us. We got to have you back on again, Brittany, discuss more Spider-Woman or whatever you want to discuss.
I'm very behind on her, but yeah, I'm down.
Excellent. And Dom, you're welcome on anytime too. Open invitation to everyone on NOC. So yeah, that's on the But Why Though podcast network, and I'm a writer and contributor for the Nerds of Color, and you should check out some of the stuff we've all got going on there. So yeah.
Yeah, right on. Well, sorry, I bet we'll meet together again on this podcast to talk about Moon Knight some more once we all know more what the hell happens.
Please.
And Miss Marvel when that comes out. Yeah, we can get there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that'll be good stuff. I'm Dominic Ma. I'm DOMMAH on Twitter or Instagram. And this has been Hard Knock Life, which, as we've mentioned a couple times, is part of the Nerds of Color. And we have a YouTube channel and various podcasts and our blog at nerdsofcolor.org. That's going to do it for now. Until next time. What did you say? You're whispering. You're whispering into a Zoom.
Whispering like Batman. Whispering like Batman coming out of the shadows.
Are you vengeance? Did you say your vengeance? Because I don't know if I heard you. Right. Okay.
I'm vengeance.
And so is Moon Knight, by the way. Voice. That's another Moon Knight Batman crossover.
Yeah, with his moonerangs. Yes, Moonerang. Sailor Moon Knight. Sailor Moon Knight. Yes. Exactly.
Go on. And the crescent hearts is lost cause. Okay, thanks everybody.
Wait, don't you mean moonerangs? I think they're called moonerangs, right?
They're called moon pies. Those are the things you eat. You get at 7-Eleven.